This is my own personal journey that I wanted to share in the hope that it may help somebody out there deal or overcome their shin splints. And as you can see, we've already got one piece of the puzzle when it comes to recovery that I have been using, which has actually helped. Now, I'm gonna break this video down into 3 different segments. Firstly, I'm going to talk about what shin splints is for those people that don't know and how it has come about, especially for me. I'm going to show you my actual treatment and the recovery that I've been going through over the past couple of weeks. And then lastly, I'm going to share you the recovery protocols in what I'm doing to get back to a good level of running. That's going to include, obviously, protocols such as these kind of recovery methods and cross training to be able to get back to that impact that you feel in running, but also make sure that we're not aggravating the injury again, hopefully in the future. So again, if you do get any value from this, drop a comment below. While you're there, you may as well like and subscribe to the channel because it does help it grow. And we're gonna get into point number 1. So point number 1, and the most logical place to start for anybody that does not know, but shin splints essentially in medical terms are medial tibial stress syndrome. And this is a occurrence not just in runners and athletes like myself, it's also quite common in people that may dance or even in military personnel as well. Essentially, it is an overuse injury and it can affect all the little muscles and tendons and bone tissue within the legs. If you think, obviously, to running, for example, that repetitive movement of constantly hitting hard surface and the impact that that's going to have on your joints, your ligaments, your tendons, and bone structure, you know, it's understandable that if you increase running volume and your body isn't used to it, that's probably the most common reason, and like myself, as to how I got shin splints in the first place. So just to shed some light, my shin splint started in about September 2024 when I was going through preparations for Loch Ness Marathon. So I'd done obviously some running prior to starting the prep. And then obviously as the prep built and the mileage built up, then my downfall was probably increasing mileage and volume too quickly. Now, if you're somebody that runs, you know, we can get carried away. We can also get a little bit egotistical. And we think that in order for us to be able to run a marathon, we have to do endless and endless and endless running in preparation. Now, sometimes we can be naive enough to think we can do it ourselves. It's always better to get somebody to help you and follow a plan. I did have somebody to help me and follow a plan. However, I still got this injury. Now, this then continued to get worse. So just to give you my understanding of the injury, so I would run. It would be painful after the first kilometer. My shins would essentially start like pulsating a little bit, like they were throbbing, like that throb feeling. I would finish a workout, and then for a day or two after a workout, I'd have a dull ache in the shins. That would then die down again. I would think I'd be okay, and then I'd go into the next workout or the next run, and the same thing would happen. But like I said to you, from an ego standpoint, from my own naivety, from my own wrongdoing, I would try and run through that, and of course went through that marathon prep. When I completed that marathon in October 2024, I then took 4 weeks off running, allowed things to die back down again. Now, if anybody takes the running seriously, you always want to be training for something. You always want to be out running for purpose and reason. So I decided in November 2024 that I was going to run for charity. So over the course of November, I ran 355 kilometers. So as you can imagine, I already had the onset of shin splints. And by, again, doing that distance, that again caused that overuse. It caused even more inflammation. And each time I went out and run, I ended up being in pretty excruciating pain. Now, the research that I had done with Shin Splints was to take some rest, to take, a couple of weeks off running, to ice those areas, to take anti-inflammatories, and then you should be good to go again. So when I finished that particular charity run, I took 10 weeks off running. I thought, great, that's more than enough time for this injury to settle. I took 10 weeks off running. So that meant in February 2025 was the first time I had run since the end of November 2024. February 2025, I started a marathon prep for what I'm going to be doing in May, which is the Rob Burrows Marathon. And the first 3 weeks of that prep felt great. I thought in my mind that I was over Shin Splints. However, in week 3, I went out, I did 19 Ks worth of running. This was my third run of the week. And all of a sudden, 12 Ks into that run, bang, that pain that I'd experienced during the charity run in November, during the Loch Ness Marathon prep in September, it came back full force. Now, I've never been so disheartened in my life because I knew straight away that something wasn't right. I took a couple of days rest. Every day I was waking up, I was in pain. I was in pain during the night, and I could not shake off this dull ache and feeling, to the point that led me into point number 2, which is seeking professional advice and going to a physio and getting this looked at once and for all. Now, I had been to a physio in the back end of last year, around October, after Loch Ness Marathon, and they gave me some exercises to do. However, that did not fix the problem for me personally. So what I'm about to show you now in this next bit of footage is the treatment that for me has worked this time round. So let's get into that.
With this, it's just, I've got to be on the ball pretty much. I'm guessing the goal is try and get a few little sponsorships.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You might some money to leave or something. It's just like a break so that thick window will be really clear out. I don't think there's much point in trying to stabilise the ankle. Higher up. Let's just keep an eye on it.
So guys, as you would have seen in the last bit of footage, that shockwave therapy, and of course John just releasing the areas around the calf, around the ankle, that's the treatment process that I've been going through for the last 6 weeks, which has been absolutely game changing in my recovery process. So as I alluded to before you saw the footage at the physio, I did go to a previous physio last year, and they just gave me some like calf and tibial strengthening exercises, but that never actually got to the root cause. When I first saw John 6 weeks ago, he said like, Reese, this is probably one of the worst cases of shin splints that I've seen, just because the level of thickness under the shin and the inflammation that I had was like so big. In the first treatment that I had, I really could not withstand the pain. Now this is only a 2-minute treatment on each shin, and is designed to stimulate like repair to the tissue and of course break down inflammation of that area. So there's only so much that resting and ice and anti-inflammatories can do for you. Yes, it'll bring it down, but it will not rid your body of the inflammation, and it won't get the healing that it needs. So for me personally, this is why Shockwave has been absolutely game changing, and it is literally the only thing for me that has actually worked. So again, the treatment process has been the Shockwave therapy, and also getting, you know, the relief work from John the physio as well, which, you know, I'm so grateful for. So again, if you are in a position where you can invest and go and seek professional help, then look into Shockwave therapy, have a couple of sessions. You can actually only do a block of like 6 weeks before you then obviously take it off. So I've been getting seen every week, getting this treatment for 6 weeks now. So I'm in a place where I now feel so much better. Like I said, I'm about 90% healed. And it's just a case of testing things with each run that I do going forward as I build myself up again, and then understand in about 4 or 5 weeks time, do I need another round of this treatment, or am I back to essentially my best? So fingers crossed. So Shockwave is the future. I'm going to get into point number 3, which is how now I am kind of, you know, recovering and what my protocols are for recovery as it stands right now to get back to 100% pure running, pain-free. So guys, point number 3 that I just wanted to talk about was how I'm now recovering and building myself back up into a place where I can get back into running more frequently, and then of course building out my mileage. And as you can see right here, sitting on this bike, this has been a little bit of a game changer in my recovery process as well, because I bought this spin bike just off Amazon. And this has been a really good investment, because what this has allowed me to do is just keep on top of my fitness levels. It's still allowed me to, you know, get a workout in that's going to build my aerobic base and aerobic capacity. It's stopped me from going insane as well, because obviously, you know, running was a big part of my life and what I do to obviously help my mental health and be creative. So getting on the spin bike has just been a bit of a game changer, because, you know, this is a low impact exercise. So even when I've been going through the Shockwave and, you know, going through the treatment and recovery process, I've still been able to cycle most days as well. Now, I used to hate cycling, but I've kind of learned to just enjoy it and appreciate what I can do versus what I can't right now. So investing in the spin bike, jumping on this, you know, doing 30 minutes on a daily basis, it's just allowed me to stay in that rhythm of training. It's obviously still allowed me to, you know, engage the legs, build the legs out, so that when I go back to running, I've not lost my fitness, and of course I've not lost my endurance in my legs. I've just obviously maintained some level of discipline with training and of course with activity. Alongside the cycling sessions that I just mentioned, I have in the last couple of weeks been able to start bringing running back into my routine. I generally do 2 runs a week as it stands. 1 run in the middle of the week, which is usually a shortish, somewhere between like 5 and 10K. And then at the weekend, I'm just trying to build some of that volume back in there, which can be anywhere from 15 to 20K as it stands right now. I have done a couple of runs whilst I've been going through this treatment under the advice of John as well. He's been kind of, you know, guiding me on kind of distances, kind of tempo that he wanted me to run at. It was important for me to do so I could test where I was at in the recovery and also how my body was responding to the treatment that I was getting. So alongside building running back into the routine, and of course to try and make sure that I prevent this from happening again, I did make some minor investments that I wanted to share with you because it could be useful. So of course I did upgrade my running shoes to the Brooks Glycerin Max, which just gives me more cushion and comfort and support in, you know, those areas that take the most impact. And as you would have seen at the start of the video, I did also buy these ice packs from Amazon, which just give that bit of pain relief. Now, I will take some anti-inflammatories every now and then if I feel like they are necessary, but I don't take them all the time because they're not actually that great for you, but they do obviously just take that edge off. So alongside obviously the cycling, bringing back the running, making some investments just to make, you know, running a little bit more comfortable. I've also been doing some work in the gym around kind of building my calf muscles, just to obviously, again, make them a little bit more stronger, a little bit more bulletproof. And I'll just put some footage in of, you know, some of that exercises that I have been doing, just to show you again what you can do inside the gym to strengthen and make those areas better. Now, I just want to end with this message, and that is for anybody, again, that might be suffering with this particular injury or an injury right now where they're trying to work through it. Like, my biggest advice, my biggest lesson is, you know, take the rest, take the recovery, you know, get the treatment that you need and require for you to get back to doing what you want to do, to doing what you love, because, you know, our ego can get in the way, our pride can get in the way, but at the end of the day, if your body's not performing where it needs to be, then it's going to tell you, it's going to make you aware, it's going to be painful, and it can cause obvious injuries and further problems down the line. So as frustrating it can be to be sidelined, sometimes you just have to go through this process, and that next run and that next event and that next, you know, sporting activity, it's always going to be there in the future. But you want to go into those preparations in full health and feeling great so that you can do your absolute best each time you go out on the roads or to those events that you're training for. So please listen to your body. Listen to me for once, because if I could take my own advice, then the world would be a better place as well. But I'm gonna end the video there, guys. If you have enjoyed it, if you've taken any value from it, please do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, because it really does help me out, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.